baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the stream. It is good to see you. I've been thinking about this subject specifically for a while, and I think it's really important for us to get into. As you guys know, I am very, very against cults. There's about 100 reasons for that, but I think people don't realize, like I didn't back in 2020 when I had heard, oh, your mom's in a cult. I didn't even believe them because of my idea of what a cult is. And I think that's important today to share is actually what it is and the difference in how people perceive cults and how people can actually be in more of a cult than they could even imagine. And this goes for almost anything, work, religion, things of that nature, even in friend groups. It's crazy how you don't realize what the definition is until you really do the research. So it's so good to see you guys. Glad you're here, and I hope this video is helpful. And if you know anybody who meets this criteria, send them the video because I would love to help people. That is the whole point of this channel. So let's get to it. Number one, a cult is not defined by weird beliefs. Okay. So one of the biggest misconceptions is that strange beliefs automatically make something a cult. That's kind of what I thought, because at first I was like, well, it has to be like these famous cults that we know about, and they have to be doing weird rituals. They have to be doing these things. Again, you don't know what you don't know. So that's kind of the other one. This is the other problem that we have to understand is when you start to lose freedom without even knowing what freedom you're losing. You know, like people don't realize that they're slowly giving away more and more of themselves. And that's the scariest part is like it can usually be dressed in some other way. It can be dressed in religion. It can be dressed in whatever way, but we'll get to that. So control is everything. This is where the experts begin looking in, not just beliefs, but control. So how much control does the organization have over these factors: your time, your relationships, your finances, your thoughts, and your emotions? Now, again, anything that has control into your life that informs how you think, how you use your time, who you're close to, your money, and how you feel by yourself. So I'm going to run you through again. I've made a video, if you're interested in watching it, where I did a full breakdown of my experience with a small kind of Christian cult, because that's pretty much what you have to define it as. And it was really heartbreaking because it did not start out that way. And I slowly realized that the person we were following was leading us into more and more isolation over time. And that's the point with like, this cult stuff's not always right in your face. It's not super, super obvious. It's always like little tiny like beads of cheese till you hit the mousetrap kind of thing. Like they're going to lure you in with everything else. So it's going to be great. And even sometimes like this is almost like how some, I could even say abusive relationship is that someone could lure you into a belief about them and then switch the narrative. It's almost the same thing. It's just alluring. And so if they're taking your time all the time, like you're sacrificing time to be a part of this, let's call it organization or cult. Let's just call it the cult, right? And a lot of times what cults do, number one thing is they isolate you from all other relationships that you have. Whatever reasoning it may be, religious, or these people are bad for you, or we're a closed society, so we only mess with each other, things like that. if it starts to affect your relationships in a sense of you no longer are clocking your own relationships, you're no longer making the decisions, but because you are part of this group, you now change your relationships and start to only fraternize with people inside of the relationships there. Obviously, there's some tight, we got to walk the line a little bit here and be fair, because obviously we got to just make sure we define things very carefully. And so that's one of the things though, is that for me, I started having like, this is, you don't want these ties to these people. You shouldn't be close. You need to let go of your past. You need to cut everything you've had, give away items that you think were tied to people and things like that. That's the type of stuff that creates cults. So that's what I experienced. Like throw away things that have ties to your mom or your past and things like that. Like try to just rid yourself of those things. And so that's kind of the hardest part, is it affects your whole life. And you don't even realize until you get deeper in that your whole life is reflective of this group that you're part of, this cult that you're basically in. And people get really offended because they don't understand what a cult is. So that's why we're doing this. They get really offended if you say you're in a cult. And I think people need to be careful with the way that they throw that word out there, because it has to meet certain criteria, just like everything else. Isolation. Now, this is probably the worst thing. If you guys don't know, I'm so sorry. I need to say her name correctly. So let me make sure I don't mispronounce her name. But she just had her name is Dr. Let me look her up. She's in my Instagram. Sorry, give me 1 second because I want to say her name correctly. And I have a lot of respect for her. And I'm going to give you the reason why my view of cults changed because of her. Okay, Dr. Christine Marie. If you don't know her, just did a Netflix documentary about the FLDS cult called Trust Me, False Prophet. I met her from my Netflix documentary, and it was basically before this documentary came out. This was in 2020. I met her, and it didn't make it into the show. And the thing is, it was interesting because at the time I had told the producers that I don't really understand the cult part. And so they had Christine Marie, who had a very similar story. I'm not going to spoil her story for you, but she had experienced religious cult, and she had come out of it. And now she has a Netflix documentary where she helped others come out of the cult, because and the sad part is, like, I haven't even watched it yet because I know it's going to be really heavy for me, but to watch people say, I didn't even know how bad it was until you got to a certain point, or I did do this and I just it didn't matter to me then. And, you just really, really hard stuff, like give your kids away or things like that, like just really hard stuff. So I would recommend watching her documentary, because she literally went in as like anyway, just go watch it. It's better for you to watch it than to have to go through that. Right. But the isolation is your family doesn't understand. Your friends are dangerous. We only know the truth. Does it sound familiar? Does this not sound like Lori? When someone loses everything outside of influence, it becomes much easier to manipulate, right? So once you get rid of voices and you isolate a person, you have a lot of say-so in how they think, feel, all of it. It's control. It's really just a manipulative way to control a human being. And this is happening in a lot of even just people's relationships, where they isolate you and then they want you away from your friends and your family. And then they get to just feed you whatever it is. So again, this goes bigger, obviously, than cults, but that's the subject of today, is cults. Fear. Now, this is a big one as well. The fear of leaving, the fear of losing the community, the fear of lose God, lose your purpose. If you leave, you're giving up. You are usurping your everything. You are literally leaving and giving up everything. So maybe you'll lose your family, God, your purpose. You'll be cursed, and you'll lose finances, whatever you're tied in, because that's the point. And I'm just gonna say this because it's the truth. But some churches act as cults, like they just literally fit this criteria so well. They bring you in, they have you get really close to only member people, like, of your church, and then they start to say what they say, and then you don't really fraternize outside of that church. And again, this is not even any specific church. This is just how churches are working right now, and this goes across all religion. They kind of just make you feel so chosen. And this is, I think, religious cults are just a little bit different because there's the aspect of God. And when I was doing research for Jody Hildebrandt, it was interesting to kind of see how she moved because she was super spiritually manipulative. And that's the hardest thing when you're a spiritual believer, is that if you're not well versed in your belief system, people can just tell you things and it's really hard to dispute because you're trusting this person to give you information. And I did the same thing with this woman. Like, I kept thinking, well, that doesn't make sense to me, but I also haven't read my Bible all the way through. This woman might have this, like, it's, you're still questioning things along the way, but in a religious context, it's like, well, God's bigger than that. And like, it's crazy. But again, the lure was she was a helpful coach slash Christian life coach slash trauma, whatever. She labeled herself as everything. Now that's already, to me, like, that's a lot. But that was the whole point, is like, come deal with your problems. And that's where my heart was. Oh yeah, I want to deal with my problems. I want to deal with this. And I had literal, like, later on when it was time to leave that moment, I was scared because we had already isolated and been away from people. And that's the point. It's like, it really sucks to know that you can even like not see it until maybe a certain point. And some people don't see it till it's way, way worse than that. So, but the fear is, that you did something wrong or you gave up the only people that care about you. But that's the point. That's all manipulation. And that's what makes me so passionate about this topic, is that's not okay. That's not how healthy relationships or organizations work. An organization should not pull you in and tell you, this, just my voice is the only one you need to ever listen to. Don't ask questions. Just listen to me. Don't do any research. Don't feel, don't think. Just follow me. And I think even Jesus himself never once told you to not wonder and ask questions and to ponder and things like that. So that's the point. Like, anytime somebody isolates your belief system or something and tells you to just do it, that in itself can be basically what a cult is. And some people can put themselves in a cult by the way that they function with a leader. And I want to say that because that's we got to be really careful with the loyalty to a person as if they have no fault. And that's the problem I have with a lot of the people who I speak to in just different contexts of things. It's like, let's just be honest, like, human beings are human beings. And even if someone is called of God or not, they're still going to make mistakes. And the ultimate thing should be God, not this person. And so, but again, it's easy to have someone kind of just tell you what's going on. I mean, that's kind of the easier road. And it kind of makes more sense because you're actually hearing a physical voice. But I think God invites you to get to know him for you. That's important. And I think it's imperative to your life in general. You should ask a lot of freaking questions, man. Just ask questions, and you should try your best to, like, find a way to ask yourself how you feel, you know? Yeah, and it is sad. It's sad because I'm not saying it's all religion. I'm not saying that, but there's churches that function this way. And it's literally any religion, but they function in a way where the person who leads the church has a grip over the society, and then people who want to be accepted join the society, and then the society itself is a closed society, and then it's almost encouraged to not really mess with people outside of that society. And then it's like just this big huge thing that all this stuff kind of happens. Guess what happens if you leave that church? You lost your friends. They're not going to really be your friends if you're not part of the same group anymore. You've changed, things like that. Like, you can go down the list, but it's very real. It's a very real thing. And it's really sad because that's not how God ever intended any of this to be. Our lives are very free will. We get to choose what we want, and you can leave and do things. But when a group is when you're that intertwined, especially to the point of fear, where some cults are so bad, obviously something bad can happen to you. Like, if you leave that cult, like, who knows what will happen to you. So there's levels of danger, obviously, but just on a very base level, this is the thing that can happen. It's definitely the type of fear that you have in your own life. And then the leader can never be wrong. That's what I just covered. That is not true. And I just don't like the notion that a leader who's leading people cannot come back and say, that was my bad, and I did screw up. I'm a human being, and I shouldn't have said this, or I've learned, or anything. Like, that's not healthy. And that even goes for just in general. People need to be humble enough to apologize to each other. And they need to be able to admit they make mistakes. But when you're in a cult, the cult leader is putting themselves above. So I always say leaders are someone who walks with the group, right? It's the shepherd who goes with the sheep and leads and guides. And then kings and dictators are people who sit on the throne and tell what to do and never ever experience those things and just point and make things happen that way, right? So that happens. That does happen. But leaders need to be humble, especially if you're leading a lot of people. It's sad to see that people believe that no one can be wrong. Like, I can be wrong. I'm not saying I'm even like a leader like that, but if we can't admit that we are human and that we make mistakes, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to say for us. Like, we make mistakes every day. And that's the problem is once somebody gets that, probably that level of worship, let's be honest, like that's what it is in any cult. It's almost like a level of isolation of that person is so chosen and untouchable. Uh that's it's a dangerous thought. Oh, well, they can do no wrong. Yeah, they can. They're human. So I don't know when they became not human, but you can tell me when you've noticed the translation. Okay. And then the information control. So this is another big thing. Obviously, this goes a little bit more far out, more to the religious context, but it's they start controlling what you watch by telling you not to watch these types of things, what books you read, what you listen to, who you trust, the type of speakers that you're listening to, what you consume is what you are. So this goes for your physical body, literally by a cell, like on a cellular level. When you eat something, it becomes a part of your body because your body uses whatever you just ate to fuel and do what it's supposed to do. The same exact thing applies to what you consume on a regular basis as far as content. You are what you put in your head. And so if you're in a cult and we'll give a perfect example. Like we've heard all the stuff about North Korea and there's things like that, like people living in a very specific way and not able to access anything other than what they're given and things like that. I mean, obviously, I don't have enough knowledge about it, but just knowing and hearing about it over the last few years, well, for a long time, but you know what I mean? And just like the point is, if you put people in a very specific box, okay, how about we do this? How about we give the Truman? You guys ever seen the Truman Show? The movie where Jim Carrey is literally a filmed subject in a fake world for TV, and they just stream it 24/7. That's exactly what a cult kind of life is. You are presented a certain viewership of life, and you don't ask a lot of questions, and then you start consuming more and more. So let's just go also to the context of like Chad, Lori, Julie, Roe, that kind of thing. They got in a group, they isolated. They didn't talk to the outside people. They all found out that they agree on these stupid things. And then they started reading each other's books and they started reading and listening to each other's podcasts. And it's just this conglomerate of just deeper, 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 deeper into that hole. That's exactly what it's like. And that's the big point. So, but that's what I mean. When you are presented that world, back to the Truman Show, presented a world, that is what it'd be like being in a cult, is that your life is not as free as you think because you are thinking in patterns and certain ways. And that is how cults are sneaky in that way, because it might start out in a positive way. It might be something positive. But there's people, and I didn't know this until this case, to my family's case, that there's really like sadistic people who genuinely plot evil. And it's so hard for me to like comprehend wanting to ruin someone's life or like thinking about ruining their life or premeditating ruining their life or lie, like whatever it is. How in the world do you actually create these environments and hurt people? But there are, and they literally have tactics. So, and this is part of the tactics is information control. And then love bombing is important as it gets. It's an abusive relationship at the core. A cult would be overwhelming acceptance. And again, back to Lori Chad's cult, That was what they were, a bunch of people who had really didn't have a ton of friends and a big group, and they wanted people who believed similar and thought similar. I mean, those in its of itself, those, the concept to get you in that cult is more of a human being thought, right? You want to have people that you agree with and have the same opinions about things, and things like that. That's kind of what I mean. And then on top of that, you go in there and you get this group of people you've never had, and everybody loves you, and everybody's like overly friendly, and um, makes you feel like you found where you've always meant to be. So it goes bigger than what it goes into the realm of I've needed this is what I've waited for my whole life. This is the family I'm supposed to be a part of. This is where God's meant me to be. And that's the point, is it reinforces this idea because you feel loved. Not all love is love. And the definition of love is in the Bible, and I believe that is the truest definition ever. But love is patient, kind, not boastful. It does not hold a record of right and wrong, things like that. I don't know the whole thing, to be honest with you, off the top of my head, but there's a way to measure if love is real or not. And the problem is some people are just really great actors and actresses, and they exude love, what you think it should feel like, but it's not real, tangible, actual love. And that's the thing. You know when it's real love. I think there's really just a way to feel the difference between real love and not real love. But that's the point. They draw you in just like the way Jody Hildebrandt would draw her clients in. And this whole idea, change your life, take control, be better, go to heaven, receive heavenly gifts, blah, da, 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 da. So you get all in on that. And then she gets you in these one-on-ones, and she gets in your effing head and starts ruining your life, ruining your marriage, ruining your destiny. Like, crazy that people are like this. I don't understand it, but it's something. Exactly. Love is something you really do more than a just feeling. Anybody can make you feel good. Let's be honest. Like, euphoria is usually what people think is falling in love. Euphoria is very powerful, and people feel so giggly, and they get in relationships like right off the bat, and it's just so good, and everything about the person's great, and you don't know that, they have their issues, and you don't see that. And it's not that you should focus on flaws, but that's kind of how this exact thing is that love in of itself presents in a way of authenticity. And a lot of times people who love bomb don't even know how to love. They know how to overly exude love because they don't know how to feel it. So that's kind of a different type of thing, but it's crazy. And then this is a big point. Why do smart people join? If you are intelligent and self-aware, how can you also be sucked into a cult? How does that happen? People assume they're only gullible people join these types of groups. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, military veterans, college professors, they look for a sense of a lot of different things. One is community, hope, and purpose. That's the point. That's what cults inherently adhere to, is human needs. And they're using human needs to draw you in. They use basic human everything, because love and desire of those things exudes your mental capacity. You could be brilliant and be presented with purpose or hope or a community because you never had a community. Like, it could present itself in a way that looks great. It looks great. And then you get sucked in, and then you have this person who's trying to get you to do these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of what we've already covered all the way up to this point. But that's the point. You don't have to just be gullible. Like, oh, I believe anything you say. Anything you say, I just believe. Like, most people don't think that way. Again, it's presented in something specific for that person, and they get stuck because of that. It's initially, so like, let's run through stages. Initially, to get involved, that's what's presented: love, acceptance, community, hope, goodness. You want to be part of it. Then you get in deep, then you get relationships, and then you're following this person or people. and you create this whole thing in your head, and it just slowly builds over time. That's the point. It's a slow trap. It's a slow trap. It's quicksand, right? It's a slow sink. You don't really know the difference until you get to a certain point, and that's what's sad. That's the whole point. I just think the biggest point is it's important for us to do this, to think about the fact that this is not off the table for everybody. Again, it doesn't have to be religious. This can be any type of thing that exudes this kind of thing that we've already covered today. And that's what I'm trying to get out there for other people is people can be in mini cults with these leaders and even their friend groups and have people influencing them to do things that they would not normally do because of their human needs. And that's why I, again, always come back to how important it is to work on your mental health, to become healthy enough to realize what love is and is not, and how it's not okay for people to be out here manipulating, but it's our responsibility just in general to be as mentally healthy and aware of this stuff as possible. And I think it's really sad and scary because, again, religion probably has the biggest hold on this, but it's not just religious. But I was actually going to play, it's so funny. I was actually going to play a game on here, which I didn't think anybody would like to watch because I stream games on Pop Culture Poppy, but I was going to play a game on here because it's so relevant to what we talk about. But there's this game called what's it called? Far Cry 4, one of the Far Cries. And the whole concept is you're a detective that goes to this city that is fallen under this really, really like powerful cult family. And the whole point is people are in this tiny little town and they're either all in or all out. And it's just like this crazy story about this cult and how it spread itself out there where there was no followers, but they're willing, like the people who are following the cult leaders are willing to die, like literally die for this whole thing. And it's insane because as you're playing the game, it's unfolding the story about like the manipulation and what this guy has said to them. They believe he's a prophet and he's the chosen and he's talking so passionately and he's so, there, you know what I mean? And like, it's just crazy. It's crazy to me that people just are attracted to certain things as human beings. Like I think cults really appeal to human needs, but from the wrong side, like a manipulative relationship or something like that. Like it really hits you at home. That's why it works. So you don't have to think it's crazy. The game is called Far Cry 4. I'm going to show it to you. I'm almost positive that is Far Cry 4. There's a few Far Cries. Nope, not 4. Lied. 5. It's Far Cry 5. I'll share it with you. This game is, I was going to play it, but I was like, no one's going to want to watch me play video games. Where the frick did I go? Anyway, that's it right there. It was on my Xbox Pass, or was it on my PS5? It was on one of them. But I was like, this looks interesting. And I'd heard about these games. I'd never played it before. And so anyway, is it just an Xbox? I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is that it literally, it could not explain what a cult looks like better. The game is giving you what it would be like to be in a cult like society. So that's what it is. You guys want to watch me play? I'm not kidding. I will play it right now. I literally was going to tell people for Pop Culture Poppy that I was going to game tonight. I haven't done that in a long time. And I was going to ask everybody what they wanted to do. But I thought people would be very turned off if we talk about mental health. And then next thing you know, I'm playing Far Cry 5. I just thought that would be very, without at least talking to everybody about it first. But I'm not kidding. The game is such a perfect example of this concept because it will show you even kind of how Lori and Chad moved. Like it's crazy. The stuff about cults when it comes to religion, it's literally so, it's so similar. It doesn't make sense. Like abusive people a lot of times say some of the same exact things that other abusive people say. Like, it's like, how are you all wired to have the same, whatever this is, whatever's going on with you? And it's the same thing. Like in this cult game, all this stuff is crazy. It's crazy how similar all the religious context is. You guys really want me to play this game? I'm not kidding. I was gonna play on Pop Culture Poppy, but I'll do a stream. I'll do it. I'll do it right now and play Far Cry if you guys will actually want to watch it. But it actually, for once, I can say a video game would make sense to this channel in context. And I mean that because, again, it makes sense. I promise. I promise. It's crazy how erratic it is, but that's the point, is like, that's how a lot of people do think. And they're willing to die for the cause because to them, it is so real. That's the point that I want to get across. So if you guys really want me to play it, type 1 in the chat. If that's the case, I'll set up and we'll do it in like an hour. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding at all. I know Emmy has been a ride or die when we've gamed over on Pop Culture Poppy, but we can game at different times here. So yeah, if you guys really want to watch it and you think it'd be relevant, I'll do it. It's a really, really cool game though, because it truly, I'm not kidding, it explains it very well. I don't know if the writers just are that great of writers or inherently just wanted to make a video game, but it works. It freaking works. You guys that's crazy. All right. I'm with it. Let's do it. We'll do it. We'll do it after this stream though, obviously. But yeah, it's crazy. You guys are gonna see what I mean. But just so you know, it's graphic. It's a little bit graphic. I'm not bad at it. It's a first person kind of thing, but it's an interesting concept in general. But that's the reason why I was going to play it on this channel, so you guys could see what I mean. Like, you'll see. I don't even want to try to keep explaining it. Well, we'll play it. That's good. But yeah, I mean, again, when these type of things come into my mind about how important it is to share information like this, because we're in a time where online cults exist. Okay, online cults exist. And I remember telling you guys a little bit about that group that it's so sad. It's hard for me to even talk about it. So there was a Sean Ryan episode with that guy who's very, very tech savvy. And he was telling them about, I forgot the name, to be honest with you, because that was a while ago. Yeah, I think you guys will find the game interesting. I'm not kidding, because I'm a narrative person. So I'd only show it to you for the storyline. So I'll put up a thumbnail and a live, and we'll do it. I promise. We'll do it. We'll start it. It can be our own little thing. People might be a little confused, but that's okay. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, online cults. So there's a cult that was a gaming cult that people were getting on Roblox, and they were doing it through Roblox and Minecraft and all the really popular games that kids play. And these kids were joining this group, and there was like these leaders of these kids, and they were getting these kids to commit, you know what, take their life on camera. And yes, thank you. Yes, it's the most disturbing thing, because it's young, impressionable teenagers, and it's just cannot believe that can happen online. But like I said, humans want connection, and a lot of times in our age, that connection's through video games and community of like, oh, we all like this game. But these kids are getting sucked into a cult, and they're having them do that to themselves on streams and watching it and laughing. And yeah, it's not okay. It's not even close to okay, that the fact that can even exist. But again, it doesn't have to be in person. It's any kind of community that tries to reel people in and ruin their life. And I don't even know. I don't even know how else to explain it other than what I said. There's really nothing more to it. It doesn't even have to be a religious thing. But that's the saddest thing in the world, is that someone would want to bring people in to hurt them or to get them to be a part of their plan going forward. I don't know. It just makes me really sad. You have a really big responsibility, in my personal opinion, if you have any kind of community, to make sure everybody understands what the community is for. And I can't imagine wanting to harm someone or thinking that's funny either, but whatever. Yeah, you gotta be really careful with this, with the digital world too. It's not just in person. It doesn't matter the age. That's why it's a warning to anybody. Oh, dude, Get out of here. Get out of here. You know how many times we've had randomly people pop in our chat and say the cult of Colby? Okay. Yeah. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. This is not a cult. But even you could literally watch every single video and you would never see one single thing that exudes that. That used to piss me off. It used to piss me off. I'm like, you know what? People are just going to say stupid stuff anyway. I don't know. It's ridiculous. But Grease 2 is not a cult. And there's and people love Grease 2 more than you would think. They're just scared to say it because all the haters, all these haters talking garbage about Grease 2. I hate it. But yeah, I love you too. Anyway, let's do that gaming stream then. I'll do it. I just didn't want to throw that at you at some random point. Pretty different. Let's just put it that way. It's different. So let's do that. But I love you guys. I appreciate you. If you think you know anybody who meets the criteria that we went over today, just send them the video. Hopefully they'll watch it. Hopefully it's helpful. This is always my goal, is like, you just never know what you don't know. And I wish I would have heard a video like this that really just broke some of the stuff down a little bit more and explained it, because it would have helped me early on in my own situation and understand Lori and understand just how people get in that. You know what I mean? How do you fall into that? Because we always see the end result. We don't see all the stepping stones that get someone to the point that they do. So that's why it's important. But anyway, appreciate you. Love you. See you guys in a little bit for the game stream. We'll get it done. And yeah, love you guys.